The daughter of the Qin family, who was abducted from a young age, has been brought back. But my father doesn't hurt me, my mother doesn't love me, and the whole family despises me. Biological mother. Yao Yao is a younger sister, please let her know more. Cheap dad. Although you are the biological one, Yao Yao has a deeper relationship with us. School grass brother. I only recognize Yao Yao as my younger sister. Invisible tycoon Qin Yan said that she only wants to be an ordinary person who is simple, plain, and has a peaceful time. Although ideals are beautiful, there are always scumbags coming to provoke us. Black pink. Beautiful and brainless, a vase. The next day, someone revealed Qin Yan's full score test paper for all subjects for 1 week of enrollment. Black fan. Only knows how to read dead books, no one makes friends with her. The next day, at a high-end dinner party, someone captured a group of ordinary people who were not qualified to kneel and lick in line to pay homage to Qin Yan. Black fan. Ah, social flower. This has stirred up a hornet's nest, and experts from various fields are all posting on Weibo to show their strength. Technology guru. This is my boss. If you don't need my eyes, why don't you donate them all? Medical expert. Chewing on the tongue of my master uncle indiscriminately. My tongue has been cut off, right? Business tycoon. Dare to spread rumors about my boss. It's all gone. Black powder. The scumbags waiting to see the bumpkin making jokes in the wealthy family. What about the agreed poor mountain valley bumpkins who have no power, and are weak and can be deceived? The head of Ningqing celebrities, Lu Shihan, is handsome and proud, noble and cold, known for his pure heart and few desires. One day, Lu Shihan posted a Weibo post. Lu Shihan. At Qin Yan, what gift does the little ancestor want when he returns to China tomorrow? Everyone. Sleeping trough, what's the situation? Has Lu Shihan's account been hacked? Keywords of the novel. Lu Ye's little ancestor is both flirtatious and soulful without a pop-up window. Lu Ye's little ancestor is both flirtatious and soulful. Download the complete text, and Lu Ye's little ancestor is both flirtatious and soulful. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Problem Girls. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Problem Girls. With white walls and green tiles, there seems to be a luxurious black off-road vehicle parked outside a 3-story rural building that has been around for some years. Outside the small building where no ghosts could be seen on weekdays, it was now surrounded by villagers watching the excitement. Is Qin Yan, this stinky girl, leaving our Yingxiu village? It should be. I heard that her biological parents came to pick her up and take her to live in the city. Let's leave now, she should have left long ago. Whoever gets involved in this kind of calamity will have bad luck, and her biological parents will regret it sooner or later. A group of people gathered together and whispered to each other. I don't know who shouted, Qin Yan is coming out. The group of people speaking suddenly changed their faces, looked up, and saw a thin white figure slowly walking out of the pitch-black shadow inside the room. The disaster has come out, run. As if seeing something extremely terrifying, the villagers who were crowded together to watch the excitement suddenly dispersed. Running and looking back, as if afraid that the girl coming out of the house might catch up. It was hot outside, and Wang Donghai had been waiting for a while. He was getting impatient and wanted to go inside to urge him when he heard the villagers shouting, disaster, or something, and then they all ran away with a frightened expression. The originally noisy place suddenly quieted down. Quiet. A bit eerie. Wang Donghai's heart furrowed as he watched the girl wearing a white shirt and light blue jeans slowly walk towards him with a suitcase. The girl has a tall and slender figure, with porcelain white skin. Her small face, which is as big as her palm, is incredibly beautiful, and she exudes a fairy-like aura all over her body. The outside light was too harsh, and her dark eyes narrowed slightly. There was a hint of laziness between her eyebrows and eyes, and her face looked like a cat, looking quite gentle and obedient. However, her eyes were all cold and rebellious. Looking at the girl's overly eye-catching face, Wang Donghai frowned in displeasure. Beautiful is beautiful, but it doesn't have much connotation. He has investigated with people and found out that this Qin Yan is nothing but good-looking. A girl was penalized several times by the school for frequently fighting with others. I often skip classes. The grades are also poor, either ranked last or second to last in the class, and the most outrageous one was taking all the subjects in the exam. Wang Donghai felt that even if a mentally disabled person were to take the exam, it would be impossible to achieve such outrageous results. He glanced at the oversized suitcase pulled out by the girl and curled his lips in disgust, saying, "Miss Qin Yan, you don't need to bring too much. The Qin family has everything and won't miss you." After speaking, he curled his lips in disgust, as if the box was filled with garbage. Qin Yan remained silent, and the girl lifted her fair and delicate face, her black eyes looking at him. Wang Donghai was originally going to mutter a few words, but as he looked up and met her gaze, his cold and restless heart felt a bit restless. This look is very evil. It doesn't look like a teenage girl's eyes at all. He looked at the girl in front of him, who was full of strange aura, and was suddenly suppressed by the opponent's aura. The words on his lips were swallowed back. His face didn't look very good and he didn't say, "Well, Madam has been waiting for you in the car for a long time. You should hurry up and get in the car." Qin Yan turned her head to look at the tightly closed car window, her eyes indifferent. As she was about to reunite with her relatives who had been separated for over a decade, her porcelain white face showed no signs of joy or excitement. Calm as an outsider. This article is 1v1, both male and female leads are very strong, and the female lead has many vests, hiding the big shots. The male lead is a super big shot who appears very impressive on the surface, with a coquettish personality. In the early stages, he is a calm and self-disciplined gentleman, and in the later stages, he is dressed like a beast, a refined and vulgar person. The clothing beasts here are only targeted at the female protagonist, and in front of other women, they are like the towering flower type that has a clear mind and is not close to women. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Finding People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Finding People. The car door opened and a gust of cold air drifted out. The middle-aged woman sitting in the car has exquisite makeup and exquisite clothing. She is dressed in a luxury brand suit, with a hint of sharpness and dominance between her eyebrows and eyes. At first glance, she is the kind of standard career woman. Seeing her daughter who had been missing for over a decade, the woman's face showed no signs of excitement or joy. On the contrary, he scrutinized Qin Yan up and down with a picky gaze and said in a cold voice, "Are you Qin Yan? I am your mother. Assistant Wang should have already told you what to say. Since you are willing to come home with me, there are some rules that I need to explain to you before that." Tang Man's first impression of Qin Yan was quite good. Fortunately, this daughter who grew up in the countryside did not grow up to look like a rural person. What exactly is the gene of the Qin family? But when she remembered what Wang Donghai had told her, she frowned and looked at Qin Yan with a hint of displeasure. In a business tone, she said, "I have heard of some of your great achievements before. I don't care what you were like before, but when you arrive at the Qin family, you have to change everything that needs to be changed. Ningxing is not a small place like Yingxiu village. You can do whatever you want. Your brother and sister were both praised for growing up from a young age, and they are the pride of our Qin family. Even if you are far behind them in all aspects, you cannot catch up with them, but you cannot hold them back. You can avoid giving face to the Qin family, but you cannot do anything that would embarrass them. Do you understand?" Qin Yan listened to his biological mother's painstaking teachings, and nodded with lowered eyes. However, his porcelain white face wore a casual expression. She lazily leaned against the backrest of the car seat, as if boneless, playing with her phone. This carefree appearance made Tang Man furious. With a cold face, she reached out and grabbed her phone, frowning and scolding, "Did you actually listen to what I said just now? No wonder you're not good at studying and always finish last in exams. If you're willing to put half of your energy into studying, you won't be as bad as you are now. When you were a child, you were very smart, well-behaved, and obedient. Why did you become like this now? When elders talk to you, you have to listen carefully and don't play with your phone. These are the most basic parenting etiquette, haven't anyone taught you?" Tang Man looked at the young girl sitting lazily beside him, without any graceful demeanor, and felt very disappointed in his heart. Indeed, the impact of the environment on a person is crucial. She remembers that Qin Yan was very lovable when she was a child. She is well-behaved, intelligent, beautiful, and has a sweet mouth. No one who has seen her doesn't like her. At that time, Tang Man was very proud to have such a pleasing daughter. But now thinking of the pair of children at home that made her extremely worry-free, and then looking at the rural daughter in front of her who was just slacking off and not learning well, Tang Man couldn't help but feel a hint of disgust in his heart. Qin Yan slowly lifted her head, and her delicate porcelain white face still had that casual expression, without saying a word. After listening quietly to Tang Man's lecture, she reached out her hand and said, "Oh, I know. Can I return my phone now?" Tang Man talked for a while, but when he saw her, he only wanted to retrieve his phone, and he couldn't help but feel angry. "I grew up in the countryside without any upbringing. She shouldn't expect too much." She calmly threw her phone onto Qin Yan's lap, her red lips pursed tightly, and her eyes were filled with disgust and disgust. "Qin Yan, if you don't want to go back to this poor mountain ditch again, it's best to put aside your previous superficial demeanor. I still said that, I can't control what you used to be like, but when you return to the Qin family, you can't just hang around for me anymore and don't study well all day. If you bring bad luck to your brother and sister, don't blame me, this motherly ruthless, for bringing you back." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. I want to see her within 3 days. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. I want to see her within 3 days. After speaking, Tang Man turned his head to one side, as if he didn't want to take another look at her. From beginning to end, the expression on Qin Yan's face was faint. Her dark eyes were calm and emotionless, as if everything had nothing to do with her. She reached out and picked up her phone. Her slender and fair fingers sliced open the screen, sent back a few messages, then locked the phone and casually threw it into a backpack on the side. I took an eye mask from my backpack and put it on, then turned my head and closed my eyes to sleep. Tang Man turned around and saw that she was completely oblivious, so she fell asleep, with 2 more points of disgust in her eyes. This rural daughter doesn't have any advantages, but she has already seen a lot of disadvantages. If it weren't for the feng shui master saying that bringing back her daughter from the countryside would improve the qi luck of the Qin family and be very beneficial to them, she wouldn't have caused trouble by bringing her back. Anyway, let's see if she can really bring good luck to the Qin family then. If it doesn't work, find a way to send her back to Yingxiu village. There is still a person sitting in the passenger seat. The exceptionally handsome young man lowered his head, with most of his face hidden in the black duckbill cap he was wearing. Since Qin Yan got into the car, he has been silent, as if the girl sitting in the car has nothing to do with him. A black Bentley drove out of the woods and onto a nearby path, slowly stopping. The closed car window is lowered. The man sitting in the back seat has a sideways face, deep and clear facial features, and is dressed in a black high-cut suit to showcase his extraordinary status. From a side perspective, the man's nose bridge is very high and straight, and the curvature of the jawline is perfect and enticing. His deep eyebrows and eyes were half closed, his gaze calm and indifferent, and there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. Looking at the Land Rover off-road ahead that had already driven far, the man withdrew his indifferent gaze, leaned back slightly, and rubbed his eyebrows with his clearly defined fingers, saying, "Are you sure that little girl has a close relationship with Lu Yu?" "Yes. Can there be no mistake? The news about Shifeng will never go wrong. However, there is no need for you, Mr. Lu, to personally come and take her away. Just arrange for someone to come and take her away." Lu Shihan's half-restrained cold eyes opened and said, "It's still one step late." Surprisingly, someone took the little girl away from them first. "Now that we have found the person, we will send someone to follow closely in secret. If there is a suitable opportunity, we will take her away," the subordinate said respectfully. Lu Shihan's cold gaze once again turned towards the direction of Land Rover off-road driving, and his deep voice was enveloped in a chill. "Stay tuned, don't lose sight." "Yes, Mr. Lu." End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Very anxious at first sight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Very anxious at first sight *. When we arrived in Ningchen, the sky had already darkened. The villa of the Qin family is located at the foot of a suburban mountain, which is a good place by the mountain and by the water. Before construction, it was seen by a feng shui master, who said that the feng shui in that area was very prosperous. Tang Man was busy attending a dinner party and didn't even get off the car. He explained to the young man sitting in front of him a few words, asking him to familiarize himself with the environment with Qin Yan first, and then quickly yelled at the driver to drive away. Qin Yan and the young man got off the car at the same time. The young man, who didn't say a word in the car, turned around and lifted his face, which was mostly covered by a duckbill cap, revealing a cold and delicate white face. Thin lips, high and straight nose bridge, deep and three-dimensional facial features. Peach blossom eyes are particularly beautiful, and when looking at people, they are very attractive. He is Qin Yan's biological brother, Qin Yan. Qin Yan lifted his chin and spoke coldly, "I have something else to do, so I don't have free time to accompany you and familiarize myself with the environment. Zhang's mother will come over later to arrange your affairs. She is the steward of the Qin family, so just ask her if you have any questions." The girl in front of her had an overly beautiful face, and Qin Yan could even see his own shadow on her face. In some of his childhood memories, he also had her. It has been separated for over 10 years. Even if the relationship between siblings was good when they were young, it has faded and they are now separated. For Qin Yan, the person in front of him is no different from a stranger. It's just that they are strangers with blood ties. Qin Yan didn't sleep well last night. Her eyelids drooped and she didn't even look at Qin Yan. She lazily replied, "Oh, I got it." Qin Yan frowned slightly. The girl may seem obedient, but her face is full of disobedience, like a wild wolf that will never be tamed, and her eyes are very restless at first glance. "Brother." A sweet and silly voice echoed from behind. A girl wearing a school uniform with the words, "Ningchen No. 1 Middle School," on it had a sweet smile on her lips. She ran to Qin Yan's side like a little rabbit and affectionately wrapped her arms around him. "You're finally back, I've been waiting for you for a long time," she said. "Young master, the kitchen has already prepared dinner. Do you want to eat now?" Another middle-aged woman in work clothes walked over, first glancing at Qin Yan, then noticeably stunned, with a look of surprise in her eyes. "Yao Yao hasn't had dinner yet." Qin Yan's cold eyebrows and eyes looked at the girl leaning against him, adding a touch of warmth and his voice becoming much softer. "Miss said she wanted to wait for you to eat together." The middle-aged woman withdrew her gaze from Qin Yan's eyes and smiled. "You don't know, this is a habit that Miss has developed since childhood. If it weren't for you to accompany her, she wouldn't be able to eat a few bites." After listening, Qin Yan's gaze became gentler. He reached out and touched the girl's head, doting on her and saying, "If you're hungry, eat first, don't wait for me. You already have stomach problems, so you need to pay more attention to your diet." Brother, without you to accompany me to eat, I just can't eat it. Qin Yao tugged at his sleeve and swayed back and forth, looking cute and adorable. You, Qin Yan pinched her nose, there's really nothing I can do about you. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Qin Yan, you have gone too far. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Qin Yan, you have gone too far. Brother, the little sister next to you is. Qin Yao suddenly noticed a person standing behind Qin Yan. She looked carefully and for some reason, a sense of crisis suddenly arose in her heart. Yao Yao, this is Qin Yan. Qin Yan seemed to have just remembered Qin Yan. He turned around and his voice was not as gentle and cold as before, introducing him. In the future, she will stay with the Qin family and live together with us. Qin Yao was startled in her heart, and her expression froze slightly for a few seconds. When she looked at Qin Yan again, there was a look of extreme surprise in her eyes. When she learned that Qin's father and mother planned to bring back their daughter from the countryside, she didn't pay much attention. Just a rural girl, she doesn't need to worry at all. Even if it's biological, it's not comparable to her. But now, when she saw that the rural village girl she had originally thought of was an extremely beautiful and stunning girl, Qin Yao's sense of crisis suddenly increased, and a hint of hostility appeared in her innocent and charming eyes. Hello Sister Qin Yan, I'm Qin Yao. I've heard your father and mother mention you before, and I finally saw you today. Qin Yao was flustered in her heart, but her face didn't show any signs. She let out a particularly affectionate call from her parents. The girl tilted her head, smiled sweetly, and reached out a friendly hand to Qin Yan, saying, from now on, we will be a family. We need to take care of each other more. Qin Yan lifted her eyelids because she hadn't slept well. Her dark eyes were shrouded in a hazy mist of water. She looked at the white and tender little hand that reached in front of her and playfully curled her lower lip, saying, a family. Qin Yao hesitated for a moment and said, yes, yes. Does Sister Qin Yan think there's any problem? Qin Yan pursed her lips and put both hands in her pockets. She ignored the small hand she had reached out to and sneered shamelessly, sorry, we're not family. We are different fathers and mothers, it's still our first time meeting. She paused and looked at the charming girl in front of her, her small face gradually turning pale. The smile on her lips widened, is it too hypocritical to say it's a family? Qin Yao looked at her incredulously, her eyes turning red. Qin Yan, how could you? Qin Yan, you've gone too far. Qin Yan's face darkened and his voice was cold. Yao Yao is a kind person, you can't accept it, but do you have to speak so harshly? Qin Yan looked up at Qin Yan, who was extremely protective of Qin Yao, and a hint of sarcasm flashed in his eyes. He apologized quite readily, okay, I'm sorry. She said she was sorry, but there was no hint of apology in her eyes. Qin Yan's face turned even worse and he said, since you don't think we're a family, then you probably don't need our help. Yao Yao, let's go, don't worry about her. But, brother. Qin Yao bit her lip and glanced at Qin Yan with a hesitant expression on her face. Did she appreciate your kindness? This kind of person is inherently cold-blooded, and she's right. We're not really part of the same family. After Qin Yan finished speaking, he turned around and left with the girl beside him, without looking at Qin Yan again. Qin Yan looked calmly as the siblings walked into the room holding hands, with no expression on her face, as if she didn't care about anything and didn't care at all. Zhang's mother stood on the side with a complex expression on her face. Miss Qin Yan, who has just been picked up, is not very likable either. With such a temperament, I'm afraid I won't be able to stay in the Qin family for long. Master Qin Yan is the future heir of the Qin family, and Miss Qin Yao is also the sister that Master Qin Yan dotes on very much. She just arrived at the Qin family today and offended both of them. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Enduring your life to be good to her. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 6. Enduring your life to be good to her. Entering the lobby. Qin Yao's eyes turned red, and tears welled up in her eyes. She choked up in frustration and said, "Brother, did I do something wrong that made Qin Yan angry?" Qin Yan looked at Qin Yan's figure standing outside the gate with a heavy gaze, and heard Qin Yao's crying before turning his gaze back with a cold face. Seeing Qin Yao cry, he furrowed his brow and his face became increasingly gloomy. He reached out to wipe Qin Yao's tears with a gentle gesture and said, "Yao Yao, it's none of your business. Don't cry. But it seems that Sister Qin Yan is blaming me. Brother, am I really bad? I took everything that should have belonged to Sister Qin Yan away. If she really blames me, I can understand." Qin Yao cried, her body twitching and her nose turning red, looking pitiful. "Yao Yao, it's not your fault. It was your parents who made a mistake back then. You're young and don't remember what happened before you were abducted, it's normal." Qin Yan looked at his sister, whose eyes were swollen with tears, with a gloomy expression in her eyes. When Qin Yao was just brought back to the Qin family, a thin and small one with a malnourished appearance looked particularly heartbreaking. At that time, the Qin family all felt sorry for the hardships she had endured during the 2 years of being abducted, so they all fought their lives to be good to her and wanted to make up for her. Qin Yan also felt sorry for his younger sister who had suffered for so many years. He almost always responded to Qin Yao's requests and tolerated her very much. This little sister, who was spoiled by him from a young age and couldn't bear to scold or beat her, has now been bullied and cried by Qin Yan. Qin Yan's impression of Qin Yan plummeted to the bottom. Compared to Yao Yao's kindness and innocence, Qin Yan is simply a detestable demon. No wonder the people in their village call her a disaster. But, Sister Qin Yan. Qin Yao raised her swollen and crying eyes, bit her lips, and hesitated to speak. "Don't worry about her, she's just jealous of you." Qin Yan looked at his weak and kind sister next to him, with a chill in his eyes and a cold voice, saying, "Don't be afraid, Yao Yao. With her brother around, if she dares to do anything to you, I won't spare her lightly. If she is well behaved, it would be best for everyone to get along well, otherwise I will make her unable to stay at the Qin family." Miss Qin Yan, this is your room. This is the dressing room, this is the bathroom, and this is the place where you usually study. On the desk, there is a computer and phone that Mr. and Mrs. bought for you, or an apple. It's convenient for you to study and keep in touch in the future. If you're hungry, you can either go downstairs for dinner or have someone bring it up for you. I'll go do some work first, and you can call me if you need anything. Okay, thank you, Mom Jean. Qin Yan stood aside with lowered eyes, looking obedient and polite. She is good-looking, with a small face and big palms, delicate features, and low drooping black eyes that exude spiritual energy. When she is quiet, she looks especially well-behaved and charming, which is lovable. Miss Qin Yao is also good-looking. She has been praised by people since she was young for her great looks. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Qin Yan's identity is still special. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 7. Qin Yan's identity is still special, but compared to Miss Qin Yan, there is still a slight difference. Even though Zhang's mother leans towards watching Qin Yao grow up, she has to admit that the true bloodline of the Qin family is still different. But no matter how much they look like the Qin family. Although she is the biological bloodline of the husband and wife, Miss Qin Yao grew up in the Qin family. In terms of the deep relationship with the Qin family, she is definitely deeper than her. Besides, Miss Qin Yao has been obedient, intelligent, and versatile since childhood. Madam and Mr. both like her very much, not biological, but more so than biological. And this Miss Qin Yan, this unpleasant temperament, destined that her life in the Qin family would not be easy. Qin Yan closed the door and tidied up her luggage. She went to take a shower and came out to see the screen of her phone, which was casually thrown onto the bed, flickering with a faint blue light. She walked slowly to the bedside, bent down to pick up her phone, unlocked the lock screen, and saw that someone had sent her a few messages. 1587, Qin Yan, someone is following you. 1587, since you left Yingxiu village, you have been following along all the way. 1587, I have checked for you and it is from the Lu family in Ningcheng. 1587, how did you provoke the people of the Shanglu family? Qin Yan frowned as she watched. People from the Lu family in Ningcheng are following her. Have you followed her all the way since she left Yingxiu village? But she doesn't remember how she dealt with the Lu family in Ningcheng. Qin Yan found typing troublesome and called directly. There was a sound, and the other side picked it up. Little Ancestor, have you seen all the messages I sent you? A man's voice rang out on his phone, magnetic, deep, with a hint of seductive teasing. When did you get into contact with the people of the Lu family? Qin Yan frowned and wiped her hair with a towel. She half squinted her lazy eyes and said, I haven't dealt with the Lu family. The Lu family in Ningcheng is the highest-ranking aristocratic family in Z country. If the upper echelons of society insist on dividing them into a hierarchy, and if the Qin family is considered above average, then the Lu family's hierarchy will be the upper echelons. The top position of the pyramid. The Lu family is not too unattainable for Qin Yan. However, she wouldn't take the initiative to deal with such a wealthy family. Especially the Lu family has a ruthless character like Lu Shihan. How did the people of the Lu family track you? If it were someone else of the Lu family, it would be easier to say. If it was the one in power. The man's voice paused for a moment, with a hint of concern in his deep and seductive voice. Xiaoyan, your situation is in danger. No matter what the other party's purpose is, being targeted is not a good thing. Especially, Qin Yan's identity is very special. Although the other party may not be able to detect anything, what if they were to discover something after a few seconds? The man said again, I will help you check which faction of the Lu family is tracking you. As long as it's not Lu Shihan, it's easy to solve. Qin Yan squinted her eyes as she listened to the man mention the name Lu Shihan twice in a row and describe him as particularly powerful. She frowned and said, so what about Lu Shihan? If he doesn't offend me, I won't offend him. If he dares to provoke me, I'll teach him how powerful I am. Yes, yes, little Ancestor. I know you're amazing, and no one cares about you. The man chuckled low, with a hint of favor in his smile. Of course I believe in your abilities, but the Lu family is a bit troublesome, and it can be tricky to take action. I'm not afraid of anything else, just that if your identity is exposed, there will be more than one Lu family dealing with you. It's not too late for you to make plans after I figure out what their intentions are. I'll find out for you early tomorrow morning, it's clear. Qin Yan stayed up late last night to handle some things, and in the afternoon, she took a few more hours by car, feeling a bit tired. She lazily responded, you can check first. Are you tired? Knowing her flaws, the other person thoughtfully said, hang it up. Let's talk about it another day. You should rest early. Qin Yan lazily, again and hung up the phone. After Qin Yan took a hairdryer to dry her hair, she felt tired and tired. She didn't even bother to eat, so she lay in bed ready to sleep. Sleep is very important to her. If she doesn't sleep well or not, she will become very manic. And she slept completely, needing to sleep for 15 or 16 hours. So Qin Yan basically sleeps in school, even during exams. Whenever she gets tired, she can sleep in the exam room. She was just lying in bed, ready to turn off the lights, when suddenly a knock on the door rang. Qin Yao's soft and sweet voice rang out the door, Sister Qin Yan, can I come in? Qin Yan's dark eyes narrowed, with a hint of irritability in them. She didn't say a word, so Qin Yao knocked on the door again and said, Sister Qin Yan, I brought you some food. I have something I want to tell you, it won't take you too long, just a few minutes. Qin Yan, have you slept yet? Sister Qin Yan. Qin Yan's irritability in her eyes increased a bit, and she stood up with messy hair and a chill all over her body, going to open the door for Qin Yao. The door opened and Qin Yao, who had changed into a pink cartoon pajama dress, stood outside. Qin Yao, holding a food box in her hand, looked up at Qin Yan's cold, bloodshot eyes. She was stunned for a moment and took a step back in fear. In the next chapter, Yan Yan and Mr. Lu will have face-to-face interaction. After this meeting, the interaction gradually increased. Although it's written in Malacca, we still focus on emotional scenes. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Is just a joke. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 is just a joke. Qin, Sister Qin Yan, I saw that you didn't eat at night, so I was afraid you would be hungry, so. Qin Yao looked at the girl in front of her with low pressure and cold eyes, a trace of fear uncontrollably spreading in her heart. Her tongue seemed to be knotted, and she started to stutter when speaking. I brought you some food. Can I come into the room first? Qin Yan narrowed her irritable eyes, and her suppressed gaze fell on Qin Yao's beautiful and delicate face. After a few seconds, she turned sideways with her arms in her arms. At that glance, Qin Yao felt like she was being targeted by some cold-blooded animal for some reason. I have a creepy feeling all over my body. She restrained the inexplicable fear in her heart, took a deep breath, straightened her chest, and walked into the room pretending to be calm. Qin Yan's room was decorated very simply. The Qin family didn't care much about their daughter who grew up in the countryside, so naturally they wouldn't put much effort into her. Qin Yao scanned the poorly decorated room and looked at it, which was similar to the maid's room, with a small curve on her lips. If you have anything to say, you can say it. Qin Yan suppressed her drowsiness and stood at the door with her arms in her arms. Her porcelain white face was restrained and patient, and a layer of cold mist filled her eyes. Qin Yao is a bit afraid of her. She felt a sinister aura emanating from Qin Yan's body and looked at it seeping through. She deliberately kept a distance from Qin Yan, pursed her lips, and didn't look at the girl's wicked eyes. She lowered her gaze, grabbed her sleeve with one hand, and spoke softly, Qin Yan, I think there might be some misunderstanding between us. So, I'm here to explain it to you. As Qin Yao spoke, her gaze caught sight of several foreign novels placed on the bedside table. One of them was in full English and she had read it, but because some of the vocabulary inside was too obscure and difficult to understand, she had read less than 1/3 of them before putting it aside. There is also a book in French and German. Qin Yao has taken several foreign language courses, including French and German. Although she has only learned a little, she can still understand a few words on the cover of a novel. She couldn't help but curl up a sarcastic curve at the corner of her mouth. She learned from Qin Yan that her sister, who was brought back from the countryside, was not a good student who loved reading. She ranked last in every semester and had several glorious deeds of 0 points in all subjects. She was able to score 0 on all the papers that she could fill out with her eyes closed. He is simply a genius. Just like this, there were several foreign novels placed on her bedside table. Use it as a facade. However, she wouldn't think that putting a few foreign novels there would make others really think she could understand, right? Qin Yao looked at it like a joke for a few seconds, then turned her gaze back. Qin Yan, in fact, just like you, I was abducted in a village when I was 3 years old. When my parents found me, I was scared during my abduction and I don't remember anything from before. They said I'm the daughter of the Qin family and they want to pick me up. On one hand is the harsh rural environment, and on the other hand is the advantageous big city. I guess if it were you, you wouldn't refuse, would you? I know you're blaming me for taking everything from you. However, I really didn't intentionally occupy it, nor did I intentionally rob you. Later, my parents also found out they made a mistake, but they already had a deep affection for me and didn't want me to leave, so they still left me at the Qin family. Even if they bring you back now, they have promised me in advance that even if they do, my position in the Qin family will not change. In the future, the Qin family will have 2 daughters. They will publicly claim that you are their adopted daughter. In this way, you can also stay in the Qin family in good faith. After Qin Yao finished speaking, she seemed a bit reluctant and sighed lightly. You may feel unfair, after all. You are the biological child of your parents. But there is no other way. The Qin family is a prestigious family and needs a daughter who can handle it. And Qin Yan, you. She seemed to have something difficult to say, but halfway through, she bit her lip and stopped. Have you finished speaking? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Don't provoke me, understand? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Don't provoke me, understand? Qin Yan's eyes did not fluctuate at all, but her face showed a hint of impatience. The girl's slightly hoarse voice was enveloped in an uncontrollable irritability. I am not interested in how you came to the Qin family and how you became their daughter. I'm not interested in knowing what Qin Ziyuan and Tang Man think. If that's all you have to say to me, you can go out now. Upon hearing her call Qin's father and mother by their names, Qin Yao looked at her in surprise. Qin Yao doesn't believe that she really doesn't care. She bit her lip and a hint of grievance appeared on her face. Sister Qin Yan, are you still blaming me? The reason I'm telling you this is because I don't want you to misunderstand me. In the future, we will live under the same roof, and I still hope everyone can be friendly. This is also what parents want to see. They have worked hard enough to ensure that we live a worry-free life. It would be unfair if any further discord between us could add to their troubles. Qin Yao, if I were you, I would be a person with my tail between my legs, instead of carrying a fake bag and running to mock others for buying genuine products. Qin Yan usually doesn't bother to pay attention to Qin Yao, a low-level white lotus flower. After all, having too much to do with such a low-level foolish ex can easily lower one's IQ. But in the coming months, she and Qin Yao will be living under the same roof. Even if she wants to avoid it, she can't avoid it. And maybe it will make the other person think she's scared, and in the future, she will even push her nose and face harder. Since that's the case, the other party even offered to come and let her abuse her, and she had no reason to be soft-hearted. Qin Yan looked at her eyes turning red and gritted her lips, as if she had bullied a weak girl. A cold smile suddenly appeared at the corner of her mouth, and she got up and walked towards Qin Yao. Her movements were so fast that before Qin Yao could react, she pinched her chin between her fingers. Even the slender and beautiful fingers didn't exert much force, and Qin Yao's face was so painful that it wrinkled into a ball. She opened her eyes wide, both surprised and afraid, and said, Qin Yan, sister, what are you doing? Qin Yan's eyes were extremely cold, and her other hand slowly caressed her neck. Qin Yao became even more frightened. She lifted her pale face from the shock and couldn't stop trembling. Qin Yan, what are you doing? Let go of me. At this moment, it's Qin Yan's sister who doesn't call herself a diaphragmatic Ingren. Qin Yao squinted her eyes, looking at her with a look of disgust, as if she was looking at an intellectually disabled child. Listen, Qin Yan said impatiently, feeling drowsy. I don't care about anything you care about at all. Just a Qin family is not enough for me to take it seriously. So be your daughter of the Qin family and don't bother me, understand? Next time, I'll. Qin Yan made a gesture of pinching her neck. Not sleeping well, Qin Yan's temper became a bit uncontrollable and irritable. Unfortunately, at such times, Qin Yao still bothers her. Qin Yan didn't beat her, so he was already trying his best to control his temper. She withdrew her hand from Qin Yao's frightened gaze, her irritable mood almost uncontrollable. She half squinted her eyes and said coldly, why don't you leave? Qin Yao's face was pale, her body trembling like a sieve, and her gaze was like that of a pervert, filled with fear. She turned around and ran outward, running extremely fast, just like some monster chasing her behind her. Running outside the door, I stumbled and almost fell to the ground. As soon as she stepped out of the room, the door slammed shut. She didn't stand steady and almost bumped into the door. Qin Yao's face changed from pale to iron blue. She couldn't believe that a rural bumpkin would dare to treat her like this. Qin Yan, why is she? The next day, when Qin Yan went downstairs, there was already a happy family of 4 sitting on the dining table. Tang Man was talking to Qin Yao, with a stern face and a gentle smile, and her husband Qin Ziyuan sat next to her. Like Tang Man, Qin Ziyuan appears to be one of the successful business elites in his career. Qin Yan and Qin Yan both follow Qin Ziyuan in appearance, so even in middle age, Qin Ziyuan's face still looks very attractive. Qin Ziyuan was talking to Qin Yan, with a smile on both father and son's faces, and the scene was also quite warm. Laughter echoed from time to time. Then Qin Yan appeared, and all the laughter and joy came to an abrupt end. Do you still get used to smoking after moving over? End of this chapter. Do you dislike chapter 10? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Do you dislike chapter 10? Qin Ziyuan has a gentle appearance, not as strong as Tang Man, and his speech is also gentle. Qin Yan buried her head and was eating seriously. Tang Man and Qin Ziyuan both spent a long time abroad when they were young, and their dining habits were more westernized. They also had steak as their staple food in the morning. Qin Yan didn't like to eat so early in the morning, so she took a few pieces of toast and bread, a glass of milk, and an egg. She eats very slowly, chewing more than 10 times a bite of bread, which can be said to be the ultimate way of chewing slowly. After swallowing the food in her mouth, she wiped her mouth with a napkin and slowly lifted her head. Her voice was warm and she said, "It's okay." The 2 words are neither cold nor light. Qin Ziyuan smiled and said, "Habit is good. Your mother and I bought you a computer and a phone. Are you used to it?" "I haven't used it yet. That brand new Apple phone and computer, Qin Yan, haven't been unpacked. They were placed there before, but they are still there now. It's useless." Qin Ziyuan asked in confusion, "Why not use it? Don't you like it?" Before Qin Yan could make a sound, Qin Yao across from the white dining table suddenly spoke up and said, "Dad, if you ask like this, Qin Yan's sister will be embarrassed." Embarrassed? Qin Ziyuan frowned. "Why is it embarrassing? Dad?" Qin Yao furrowed her delicate eyebrows and blinked, as if giving Qin Ziyuan a look. "Don't ask again, you don't know that the conditions in Qin Yan's place used to be not very good." Qin Ziyuan was stunned for a moment, and after a few seconds, he finally realized what Qin Yao was referring to. He forgot that his rural daughter was brought back from a poverty-stricken mountainous area. She used to live under difficult conditions, so she must have never used such a good phone and computer as Apple. It's not because she doesn't like it, but because she doesn't know how to use it. Qin Ziyuan thought of this and thought to himself that it was still a girl with a delicate heart. He had never even thought of this level. He was really afraid that Qin Yan would hurt his self-esteem, so he pursed his lips and coughed. "Well, Yan, if you have any questions in life, you can ask your brother or Yao Yao. Don't feel embarrassed, there's nothing embarrassing about your family. Of course, you can also ask me and your mother. As long as we have time, we can teach you. Well, if Sister Qin Yan needs any help, feel free to come to me. If Yao Yao can help, she won't find it troublesome." Qin Yao said with a sweet and calm smile on her face, very enthusiastic. She is extremely displeased with Qin Yan now. The rural bumpkin brought back from this village is even better at pretending than she imagined. Buying a foreign novel to pretend to be knowledgeable and understandable, even when eating, one should pretend to be able to chew more than 10 times a bite of bread, and pretend to be elegant and ladylike. She has never seen someone so capable of pretending before. Although he is just a country bumpkin, he is determined to pretend to be a wealthy family member. End of this chapter.